Every time I doom scroll, I see so many animations, drawings, and art pieces in general that people make of the original characters, and they're all so amazing. And that made me realize that I only really have two drawings I've made of my own characters. So, I wanted to learn 3D modeling and animation in order to better bring them to life. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised by how good the end result was. The first part was pretty easy. I had to draw a turnaround sheet for both characters, which consisted of drawing them from the front and the side, which would function sort of as a blueprint for the whole model, and any mistakes here might pierce through all the way to the end. But I think they came out pretty good. And coming clean, I do have some experience with Blender. I modeled this character like 3 months ago, so I should be starting off with a solid foundation. I opened up Blender and I realized that wasn't true. I forgot basically everything. I had to start from scratch, watch all the tutorials again, all the guides, and take it from there. But I ended up deciding to use the model I made 3 months ago as a sort of foundation for the new ones. I would make copies of it and adjust the body in order to fit the new turnaround sheets, and it really kickstarted the process and me remembering how everything works. After some adjustments, the structure of the models were done. Although they did look a little funky with the texture of the original model. Moving on, I followed the tutorial to rig both characters, and regarding the hair, I wanted to make it move whenever I would animate it. And I used this technique where I would put a whole bunch of bones in the hair and sort of make them influence each other. They did mention it was buggy, but hopefully that shouldn't be an issue, and it worked. It sort of bounced around. It's not the most natural, but it looks pretty good. Now came the part that would really bring the models to life. I had to texture them. While I was researching, what it seems like you're supposed to do is sort of unwrap all the different UVs, set it onto a texture, and then go to a different app and paint it onto it. But that seemed a little too complicated and I really didn't understand how what went where. So I ended up just painting it directly onto the model. Finally, the models were done. Not the hardest part, that was next, but they came out pretty good. Now it was time for animation. I really didn't want to do frame by frame animation. That's what I usually do in 2D. And part of the reason I started doing this is because I was burnt out from doing that. So I wanted to figure out an alternative solution. I found this app where you're supposed to be able to record yourself mimicking out all the motions you want the model to do, take a video of it, and it would sort of do the mocap thing they do in movies, making animation sound super easy. You just had to act it out in real life. So the next morning, I set up the camera and started acting out everything I wanted my character to do. So I've done a few takes, but they're a little really stiff. I have to either get into character more or just feel it more. Because all the takes so far are kind of bad. And then when the after teleport, I have to It felt a little embarrassing, but it was worth it. It would hopefully work and I would not have to do frame by frame animation. I put it in and the skeleton they gave me looked a little weird. It didn't look as promising as I thought it would be, but maybe it would be different once I put on the model. And no. I don't know what's up with their back. I don't know why they're so leaning forward. Maybe it's because they couldn't see how I was standing. Or maybe that's how I stand. And the movements aren't as snappy and smooth as I would want them to be. So I don't think I'm gonna use this. I guess I did all that running and jumping for nothing. But I still really don't want to do frame by frame animation. So I went back to find a different solution. Eventually, I found Mixamo, which I thought was typically used for video game animations, but I decided that maybe if I put a bunch of them in a row, I could kind of get the idea of what I wanted my characters to originally when I was acting it out. And I found some pretty good ones. Now, it's about seeing whether they would work well together. Before I even started mixing the animations together, everything had already broken. The hair was moving all over the place, it was all bugged out, and no matter what values I changed, it wouldn't fix it. So eventually I just removed what I had added earlier and it was stiff as a board. But it let me move on to mixing the animations. There was some trial and error blending them together, especially with the running one, because after it would always snap back to the original position. So I ended up putting them in a box and making it so the box would teleport them as soon as the running one ended, and it seemed to fix it. After meshing it all together, I added a floor, some lighting, and this is the final result. for my first try, or second, 3D modeling and my first try with 3D animation, if it counts, I think it came out pretty good. It was honestly really fun, and I think you guys should try it too. This is the main tutorial series that I used, and I'll leave the link down in the description. You guys should check it out and try making 3D models and animating your own characters. Okay, bye!